like to invite each one of the panel members onto the stage. To kickstart with, we have Manisha Saboo, who's a highly esteemed leader in the technology world. She's recognized for her exceptional expertise in digital transformation and quality engineering. She's the first woman president of HYSEA before her current role as a vice president at Infosys and a president at HYSEA. Manisha has served as a project manager at IT giants such as Cognizant and Virtusa. Her leadership positions and diverse experience underscore her profound insights into the evolving landscape of quality engineering. Can I please request Manisha to grace the dais? We next have Raj Neravati, who's a visionary technologist with a passion for innovation, boasts an illustrious career marked by transformation leadership and groundbreaking advancements. Before his tenure at Titan, Raj embarked on an entrepreneurial journey as a founder and CEO of Hug Innovations LLP and Corporation, introducing the first gesture-controlled wearable in the market. So can I please request Raj Neravati to grace the dais? We then have Kalilur Rahman, who's currently holding the esteemed position of Director in the Platform and Data Shared Services at Novartis Operations. Do we have Kalilur Rahman? Yeah. Can we have you on the stage, sir? He's a believer in knowledge is power and is passionate about authorizing and sharing his knowledge. He has published over 200 articles across LinkedIn, DevOps.com, and other leading magazines, and also has published books. Good round of applause to you, Kalilur. We then have, we have no words about him. He's head of India Qualizil, who's none other than Madhu Murty. Can we please have him on the stage? And then we have LRV Ramana, who's the moderator for the panel discussion. With over 25 years of extensive experience in quality engineering domain, he stands as a seasoned leader who has played a pivotal role in promoting quality consciousness. So he would be moderating the session with our esteemed speakers. Over to you.
First of all, a very warm welcome to all of you to this panel discussion. My name is LRV Ramana, and it's an honor to actually be part of this dais with the esteemed speakers here. Each one of them have so much of credibility in the industry that it makes me a bit nervous to really start moderating this conversation. However, I think I'll play the the typical role of a person who does not know anything. So I'll be asking some interesting questions which I think can be answered by each one of them, right? All right. So first of all, before we go, I think the speakers that we had so far gave a fantastic overview of many things, right? So I'll just start with a little bit of a softer version of this, right? So I'm going to ask one question to the audience here before I go to the panel members. How many of you have seen the movie called Gladiator? English movie Gladiator? Many of you? Anyone remembers what's the most important dialogue in that when the hero actually enters into the arena? What was the guidance given to that person? Don't die. No, not software. Gladiator did not have software. Okay, don't die. One. What else? Win the audience. Right? You win the audience, you win in the arena. So as long as you can all support me, I think we are going to have a very good panel discussion. So the most important thing I would request is, thank you. Please participate. This entire conversation would be driven by questions from you. I'm just going to be a moderator and I'll try to fine tune the conversations, right? That's one thing. Okay, now the next thing, I'm sure all of you have seen Republic TV. Anybody who has not seen Republic TV English? Yeah, especially Arnab Goswami, my favorite anchor, right? So you have two options, right? First option is I ask the panel members, the nation wants to know by thumping on this, right? How many of you are interested for that kind of a conversation? We'll do it? Okay. Unfortunately, Arnav Goswami can speak. I cannot speak like that. So, all right, all right. So, thank you. I'll start the conversation. This is for the audience, all of you, right? If we look at the history, right from the way things started, right from 1950s onwards, when Alan Turing actually started up a conversation that says AI has to do so and so, and there are certain parameters. 1950s, I think Alan Turing came up with the Turing test, right? That's when something came. And then 1958, I think the first testing team, official testing team, was formed in 1958, around 1958, okay? Then around 1961, the first book on software testing, purely dedicated for software testing, and the teams actually came up, right? Software testing teams were done. And the textbook was written in 1961. Moving forward, I think during 1980s, the first automated test tool, auto tester, if I remember it correct, came up, right? And then moving forward, I think there were a lot of other conversations that came up. For example, people started to say software testing, and then it kind of moved to saying verification and validation. And then people called it as quality assurance, and some conversations about quality assurance is different from quality something else. And then finally, of late, we have started to hear this conversation topic called quality engineering, right? So if we call this as a transformation in terms of how things started and how the kind of terminology moved from software testing to what we call quality engineering today, my first question to the panel members is, what is your belief? Do you believe that this change, quality assurance, software testing, quality engineering, quality control, quality engineering, all of these things are they just names created for marketing, or is there something really behind these names? That would be my first question. If you can just start sharing your opinions, that will help. Ladies first, yes, we'll start with
then
ladies
I don't have
first.
to worry.
Yes.
Okay. I think the terminology to certain extent tried to represent what the tester was expected to do, and the engineering came into picture mainly because there are lots of technology and lots of code has to be written. And in with the agile coming in, it's like it was almost like the developer and tester were sitting with two together, and actually they were expected to find not just find the bug but also tell that okay, how will you be able to fix it, or sometimes even fix it. So even that is expected sometimes from some of the in some of the organization. So it was just representing what was the trend at that point of time.
Fantastic.
Is Manisha audible, team? Okay, fine. Yeah.
No, he said no. I'll be louder next time.
Yeah, I think this is better
Thanks
now.
for asking that. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, probably I will take a tautological answer, right? The way the testing as a profession is also similar to how things evolve. If you take the, say, automobile industry, when automobiles were getting introduced around that time, there was a lot of resistance from all the horse cart owners, and also there was a lot of job for people doing cleanup work and a lot of other things, right? They claimed, if you introduce automobiles by numbers, then our jobs will be gone. But that didn't happen. They ventured into something else, and more innovation happened. Same thing, as things progressed, people just found additional responsibility, more productive, productive growth, and the profession or new jobs or new responsibilities evolved. So similarly, quality engineering or testing or whatever we would like to call is also on an evolution phase, right? And another tautological point I would like to take is what happened with artificial intelligence. Though the neural networks were defined in the 1940s by a physiologist and a mathematician, but the real pickup took place around 60s, and there was a winter. Then 80s there was some development, but because of computing power it didn't take up. But now it is evolving, right? And the way I see comparison is the testing as a profession or quality engineering profession would all be more augmented by the tools. How you leverage the tool, how you leverage the prompt engineering, how you leverage the exoskeleton. The example given by Mr. Paul on how the exoskeleton is leveraged by firefighters to do the fighting better, right? So we are at the stage where we can leverage all the tools and techniques available to do our jobs faster. We can do more with less, and it's all about how adaptive we are, how capable we are with a continuous learning mentality to leverage the whole brain, not focus only on the right brain. And definitely, what is happening with generative AI is most of the repetitive tasks are getting replaced, and you need to be more use the human side of the things to leverage our brain power to do testing better. So I feel testing will only get better and better, and we will have more tools in our hands to do testing better. So the leveraging chaos engineering, making more reliable systems and products are reaching the customer. So it's going to be an interesting journey for testers.
Great, thanks, Raj.
Like any industry, right, we are seeing evolution. So when you take each one of these terms, right, what is software testing? You build something, then you're testing it, and you find defects. When you find defects after building it and you're finding it, the cost of fixing is higher. But then software testing started about there. Of course, still a lot of organizations are still at that stage. Then we got into quality assurance. What is quality assurance? In addition to testing, how do I make sure that I'm building safety net so that you're not passing anything into production so there's no damage? So that is where from testing, we started saying that I can give you better assurance in building safety nets. And that's where a lot of regression testing and making sure that the production quality is as good as what we wanted is where the evolution happened. Okay. Then today we are talking about quality engineering. Why quality engineering has emerged, right? Let's look at what a Facebook does or what an Instagram does. Facebook has 225,000 instances of their code where they have built capabilities to actually deploy code into production every 15 minutes. The first few years of Facebook, they actually did not write code to make sure that they build good quality code. They didn't write systems to actually write hundreds of test cases. The first thing that they mastered is DevOps, release management, chaos engineering to make sure that they predict failures, and then without automatically there is a fix already sent into production. But once you send it also, how do you replicate it across thousands of instances that are across the globe is where the challenge is. So new age systems need new age techniques, and that's why the evolution of QE is coming into place, because the tester has to get themselves adopted into, as we learned, right, agile engineering, where you're actually testing for a 2-week sprint. In fact, some of the new age companies today have demolished testers' role dedicatedly. Now we have what is called as a developer tester. But actually that's what we did when we started coding. We didn't have dedicated testers, right? So the new age roles are diminishing the role of a developer tester. You got to write code, you got to write safety nets also using, tools that can actually generate code. So 2 years, 3 years from now, life is going to be different. I'll pause here. I'll give more examples on your next set of questions.
Sure.
But that is the evolution that I see. Thank you.
Madhu, what is your view?
So anyway, I have a little bit old view. I'm an old person than all these people. Again, actually, just LRV told you have to be in the panel. I told him, whatever you ask. But actually, I told him, whatever I want to tell, I will tell that only. So I am very clear about that. In fact, actually, I gave that advice to Manisha also. So Manisha asked me, hey, Madhu, you will ask a lot of tough questions. I'm worried. I told, this is my strategy. You also follow that strategy. So I'm going to follow that strategy. But again, LRV, more than all those people have to ask questions.
Yes.
Let us encourage that. But again, whatever Raj said, if you take from a process context point of view, testing, actually even before testing, debugging, developers are writing code, checking their own code. If it doesn't work, they figure it out where things are not working and correct it. So a lot of times that word debugging was used by most of the programmers very early when software was developed in scientific laboratories, not for scientists, not for common people. So debugging was kind of misunderstood as testing for a long time. But then sometime this one person called Glenford Myers first wrote a book, The Art of Software Testing, where he talked very specifically talked about testing, and it has to be performed by a person who did not write the code. That's how he gave a definition of independent testing. But then waterfall model by nature told, okay, you analyze, design, build, then before giving it to end user, test it thoroughly. So that how the testing term came, focus, heavy focus we have put on defect detection little late into the life cycle. That's how, but then a good testing teams, even those days, were always telling that let us not look at testing as a reactive quality proving mechanism where we find defects, but a lot of good teams, even during those days in waterfall model also, people told that testing should be actually a proactive quality management activity. So you have not used that word. You told testing, quality assurance, but in App Labs, we actually used as App Labs as a quality management company. Right. So we told while you are doing it waterfall, but how do we get involved early in the life cycle and actually proactively kind of prevent a lot of problems and then improve quality, not prove quality, but improve quality. So those concepts were there, but then Agile has revolutionized. Agile, one of the most important principles is actually built-in quality. Do it in fast iterations. Speed is important. Collaborate, but do all the best practices very informal. Built-in quality is the key. That's where I think people figured out this new word, built-in quality engineering kind of term. Agile has scaled Agile actually uses that word. I think all of us now are okay. Testing only has transformed as QE. That's my kind of view of how it kind of evolved over a period of time.
All right, thank you. Yes. So I'll come to you, sir. Just 1 second. Am I audible? Everybody at the back? Okay. So we heard opinions about whether quality engineering in the current context is just a buzzword or whether there is actually a transformation in the term, right? From the panelists, it looks and it's evident that it's not just a buzzword, there is definitely a transformation. Right? Now, my question to the audience, question number 1, how many of you disagree with this view? Point number 1, if you can raise your hands. Okay. The second question that I would ask once we answer the first question would be, what do you think are the skills needed for us to actually be successful in this context, right? In the emerging context. That would be the 2 questions. We'll start with the first question. Sir, if you can just ask your question. So you said you disagree with the statement. So
louder. Okay,
that's okay. You can use the mic. I think that would be convenient. Go ahead. Please use the mic.
I think my voice is audible to everybody.
Right.
So, quality assurance, quality control, all these words are still have 100% value for other domains other than right. For example, mathematics. You cannot avoid all these separations and all these things are part of mathematics. But they need to improve that. But when it comes to software, we avoid all the confusion by doing like avoid and
So how do you summarize?
I think better ability. We are not instilling with what AI really
No, maybe the question is about, do you agree with quality engineering as a transformation? Yes or no? Yeah.
How do I make it work? That is where the engineering
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I think LRV, it's good, sir. Thank you very much for the perspective. So actually, the better way is that let the people ask questions, panel will answer.
Yes.
This two-way interaction like this will become very complex. It's good, but it can
Sure.
get.
Okay, so the floor is open. I mean, anybody wants to ask a specific question for the panel? Yes, please. My request is just make it very crisp to the point so that it becomes much easier for the panel to answer.
Hi. So my question is that do you think that following a trend, right? So for example, something which might be working for company A might not be working for company B. So something that we noticed in the company that I'm working for is that some of the DevOps practices has been like very aggressive. So a lot of teams, it was like counterproductive. So they were struggling with whatever was the established standard, and that was really affecting their productivity. So whatever was working for them, it was like not or creating a lot of challenges when there was this kind of a new kind of way of doing these things was enforced on them, right? So do you think that following the trends will work for universally across the company? So a good example is like BDD, right? So for a lot of the teams, BDD is not working, right? But the company is saying, okay, do BDD.
Make
right.
it a little more specific. Ask a question as quickly as possible so that most of the
So what I'm saying is, do you think that the definition will vary for company to company, right? For example, you cannot just have a broader definition of what quality assurance is.
Please, sir.
Yes, to answer your question, it is unique. Like just like every individual and DNA is unique, the company's needs and adoption and implementation will be unique. And I personally haven't seen a single model that is replicable across the board. Even rolling out a big COTS product, it may not deliver the same goods to different companies in different industries. So it has to be a unique adoption and a strategy to implement what works for you rather than going with fancy words and trends.
Thanks.
Yeah, can I go next?
Yeah.
I'll be very specific. First of all, greetings to this panel. I'm Pramod from Aviva, heading Industrial Automation System Test. My specific question, since the topic is future of engineering, I want 3 words from each of the panel. In 1 word, what is the future of quality engineering?
Enriching.
Dynamic.
Customer advocacy.
Value adding.
Thank you. We just want to hear the words.
Thank you for asking very crisp and very pointed question. It was tough actually to answer.
Hello everyone. Greetings to the panel. My name is Puneet. I'm a quality
You
assurance.
talk a little louder or the mics are not working.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is this volume good?
Yeah.
Greetings to the panel. When we talk about software quality assurance and engineering, we have 2 things. One is the customer expectations and the customer requirements. Customer requirements, we take it as part of the functional testing, and the expectations are taken part of the non-functional testing, where we take care of the performance, security, and other things. Now, in this digital era, every company has become more conscious about their digital presence, where we have new UI technologies which make their website or apps more attractive, more customer attractive. And do we see any space in future for specifically testing these cosmetic things, how the user interface looks like, how picture perfect and pixel perfect is? Now, when we develop a software, we develop it to be compatible with multiple devices and multiple configurations. So this is my question.
We understood the question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now let him. He's the right person. Titan Chief Product Officer. Yeah.
I think I would summarize it saying that it is UI, UX, and CX. Basically, you have to actually look for consumer experience as a holistic when you actually look at it, so that you're covering all dimensions of stated and unstated expectations. And you have to actually start like the way you do requirements and then design and then development, right? In testing, you have to first start with consumer orchestration, how consumer is going to use your application and whether the application is serving that needs or not. Because today's customer is judgmental. I don't know how many of you know the average span of a consumer's attention is actually 17 seconds, and in under less than 60 seconds, they are going to judge whether your application, whether your product works for them or not. If you're dealing with that kind of a span of attention, and if you're dealing with that kind of a new age consumer, you have to start with CX, then go to UX, then go to UI. We'll take offline on how do you differentiate them, but that's where you should do it.
Just to add one more additional legality factor like ADA and usability and accessibility factors also comes into picture in at least some big countries. So it is getting bit complex and diverse.
But do we have any scope of automating this UI and UX
At
testing?
least I have seen it getting automated in a big way.
Thank you.
I think we have, if you just pass the mic towards the back. Yeah. Back is been asked.
Hi, we are naming everything quality engineering, quality assurance, quality management. I mean, terms are good, but as a customer, when do you think with the AI again coming into picture, when do you think we will be able to give a guarantee to the customer that yes, this will be zero defect delivery? And is that time coming soon? Do you guys think, with your experience, are we coming closer to that?
I think I would say that already, if I look at the defect leakage metrics or defect density that we have observed, already I see we're very close to 100%. But yes, we are not at 100%. But very, very close, like 99.98 kind of thing. So we are getting there. And I have a feeling that with the Gen AI coming in, and if somebody can tell my tester that, okay, these are the prominent defects that were seen in the previous release, and they will test for all of that, so this will become more and more sharper and little more easier for the testers. That's why I said that future is enriching.
So even softwares will have a tag like okay tested, right?
Let's wish for that. I think
we may want to use the classic quote: "The testing never ends; testing stops." So
that we don't want to happen, but I'm asking, will that be a case where we will have zero defect?
Actually, I would say that our testers take immense pride in the fact that their the code which is there in production is defect free, or at least the severity wise they say that, okay, severity 1, 2 defects are not there. So yes,
I think I'll just add one dimension to it. The cost of quality is always paying for the zero defects. Today, robotic surgery is a reality. Do you agree?
Yes.
With precision engineering?
Yes.
Now, if you're on that table and we tell you that 99 times it works, one time it fails, would you be on that? Or you're getting on a plane and I say that probably 99.99% this plane works, it doesn't crash. No, right? It all depends on the domain and the use case where you're going. The precision and the cost of quality where you achieve is subjective to the nature of what you are into. As long as the cost of quality can be met, I think zero defects or near to zero is possible. I think we'll leave it there, and again,
yes,
we'll all take offline. Okay.
Thank you. I think we had a question here, right?
Yes, pass on the mics.
So good evening to each and everyone, and to the panel members. So my name is Shashank and I'm studying BTech final year IT from Mofakumsa College. So my question is that we see that the waterfall model had 9 steps. In the Agile, we saw that there are only 7 steps. So coming in the near future, how many steps will be there in the present model?
Which steps are you talking about? Sorry.
The gathering, the documentation and everything, the waterfall model, the Agile model, SDLC.
It's actually not the number of steps. Agile follows lean methodology, remove redundancy, avoid wastage, so that you are able to actually do what is needed, as opposed to saying that this is a process you follow. Okay, so it's eliminating wastage, and then because you are only working on a 2-week sprint, right? The quantum of work versus the time to react versus the amount of validation that you have to do, whatever the right amount of process and steps are needed are followed. It's not like removing or tomorrow it is 7 versus 9 versus 2 versus 1. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from this side of the ladies specifically? I think yes, please. Somebody at the back.
I
think we have.
Hello, you're able to hear me? Yes. Hi, sir. I just wanted two questions basically. What is the thing that we are going to tell next to the next gen? We are talking about next gen A, then gen A. What is the thing that we are going to tell our next generation what you have to learn in testing? Is it prompt engineering? Are we going to tell them you have to go and do prompt engineering directly and going to go and do that? One question. Second one, as you were selling, a flight there is zero defect. At least we assume that there is zero defect when we are getting into the flight. We know that we are going to reach the other place. Now, they were doing it without AI, correct? UPI, Shantanu was selling, they're doing it without AI. So what is it that we are expecting that AI is going to do? Is it just helping us to ensure that 0% defect is going to happen? One. The other thing is we are talking about QC, QA, QE now. I think QE should be called the EQ. We should, as quality guys, engineer quality rather than telling what is quality engineering and all that, because QC or QA also didn't prevent defects. QA also still defects are going on. We thought we will prevent defects using QA, correct? So there are 2-3 questions. Maybe you can.
Actually, I'll take a shot on this one because I'll take a dig and a shot both. Okay, we have this habit of adopting technology and saying that the whole world is going to change. And if we have all witnessed, I'll just take a last decade. We said that cloud will come, change. It changed the world, but there are still certain enterprises which still have a hybrid model. Then after that, 2020, suddenly every conference, everybody spoke on blockchain. And they said blockchain is a reality, everything is around blockchain. Then after GPT, every conference's session is about generative AI, right? I think let's not get carried away with technology. Use the technology to its intention and right purpose. What do I tell to the next generation? Even if I take AI, right? AI is not a singular stream. There are multiple streams into it. Now, what is fundamentals of AI? You have a model that is being trained with a certain data sets, and it has a certain ability to predict what it is. Okay, that is the fundamental of AI, so that it's able to predict and it's able to generate. What do I tell my next generation on generative AI, right? Please take the same prompt engineering exercise, take a single statement and work with DALI, work with Bing, work with any of the generative AI, do repetitive models on using the same string. And you will suddenly see that AI cannot give you deterministic output. So what is the role of tester is, how do I validate AI for deterministic output? That's a very important science you can teach your youngsters. The second one, how do you really put context to AI, and how do you make sure that context learning is there? Because context learning is a challenge, and several AI systems got shut down in the past when it cannot adapt to context learning, and that is where human cognitive science can be really put into place. And this is the third one. I'm going to stop because there's a lot more. At the same time, AI has the capability in certain domains to also give you predictability. That means that, see, tomorrow if I'm training my computer vision AI stream CV, saying that this is a flower with a pot here, and I've trained several models. Now the CV can actually tell you, I'm predicting that this is a flower and there is a pot and water with a 90%, 70% or 60%. The algorithm itself will self-detect and tell you. How do you really add that value from a testing point of view so that the algo can give you the predictability score, and based on that you have a determination to actually say whether you want to move forward or not. So there are many deeper engineering streams that AI provides testers as an opportunity to go for. And last, is the world is going after AI with co-creation. Because everybody you go for, people talk co-creation. Take the same example of, let us say, I would like to draw the same chessboard with paint and then two people sitting, right? The basics of that can be created with AI. But then on that, what is the emotion? What is the message I want to create? So you're not starting yourself from scratch. You are starting somewhere at ground 10 or 11. so that your designers can accelerate their ability to actually create as where AI is coming, but not replacing your design capabilities. So co-creation will be the future. Thank you.
Just to add, with regards to Gen AI, you see the hype curve, right? It is at the peak of the hype curve, and it's currently undergoing a trough of disillusionment, and then it will stabilize. So, as far as how the future should be looking for is, every 3 or 5 or 10 years, the technologies change. We adopt new, processes, new tools, new languages. So it is the lifelong learning agility and being flexible to learn and use the whole brain, like Mr. Paul said, that would help how the next gen should be focusing on, because technologies and the tools and algorithms may change over a period of time. So we just need to be more flexible and be a lifelong learner. That's a key requirement for future next gen testers. That's my
Actually, even I feel that learning to learn is the biggest skill that one can have.
Actually, let me also add, because you asked next gen, because a lot of senior people are here who are leading teams. I think that's a great question. Somehow we have to spread that awareness. In my opinion, the basics have to be always learned. Testing is all about, I didn't get your name, sir, but it's all about customer advocacy. We have to really understand what customer wants, and from there only the testing starts. So that aspect, empathy with customer and advocating the customer's interest, whether it is an AI system or any system, I think we have to tell our youngsters that aspect. Then again, the next thing is that learn a coding language very seriously. Even AI can auto code, but still be hands-on with technology and have that critical kind of mindset to be able to find defects, explore through software carefully. All those fundamental skills we'll have to tell our youngsters, like both Raj and Kalilur said. Yeah, you can assist, like you can take a lot of help. Productivity improvement can be done if you know the capabilities of those AI, little bit underlying principles of those AI. And also, everyone talked about this mastering the prompt engineering and then ask right things so that you'll get the desired right output. So then actually you can more efficiently, productively, you can do your work. I think that is how only we have to tell our youngsters. The basic skills will be there, especially the testing skill. I think even, let's say in 2240, all work is done by machines. In my opinion, exploratory testers will be still there. So that we have to still ask our people to do that. I hope I answered your question. And more questions, and maybe there is a time limit, but you please ask, sir. Yeah.
What are the major 3 challenges that, as a technology leaders, that you are facing from the industry, either from talent or whatever it is? What are the major 3 challenges that
That's a great question. So major 3 challenges. Testing. Yeah. Start.
One is, I've done both sides. I've done consulting, now I'm a client. Right now, the key challenge we see is getting the talent with the right attitude and ability to adapt to new ways of working, because each client or each company will be unique. Right? So there need to be a bit of a flexibility when in adopting and doing the right things for the client, so the end result is good. So to put it in a single word, I would put it as like adaptive talent. That's a challenge.
I'd say that key challenge as such, what I observe from my perspective is everybody wants Gen AI, everybody wants to talk about it, but nobody knows exactly how they're going to implement it. Or there is no, what bothers me is that while all the conferences have this theme related to artificial intelligence, Gen AI, but I don't see that actually being translated into the work that is given, or nobody is asking us, okay, I need 10 testers with this experience, which includes one bullet point related to Gen AI. Nobody's asking me for the talent. They're paying for the POCs, they're doing POCs, but we're not evolved there. And it could be like he said, blockchain was a buzzword. It could be that this is just a buzzword and a passing phase. We don't know yet. But that bothers me because we can't really predict and we can't just run after something just because it's in. It's good topic for discussion. We should all be aware. And as I said, that we have to learn, but to understand. It's not absolute truth.
The first I would say is fundamentally from our schooling, right? The difference between theoretical science and applied science. We are taught from the school saying that this is how the question is and this is the answer to it, and make sure that you answer it this way. The schools teach us into that boxed thinking and boxed approach of applying solutions. I think fundamentally that has to change, saying that there need not be one solution to a problem, there can be multi-solutioning, right? That is where the fundamental difference comes from applied science versus theory. Because when you actually look at in a classroom, right, you have a controlled environment and everything can work in controlled environment. But unfortunately, the real environment is different. So that's why there is a difference between applied science and theoretical science, right? The second thing is, how do you really teach your today's generation to be equipped for a future tomorrow, where the future is fast pacing than what we can imagine? 2 years ago, when we were like, at Titan, when I'm sitting and talking about how do I elevate consumer experience, 2021, I'm whiteboarding on interacting with my customer and telling them that how do I use tagging as a concept to learn, and then based on that, how do I create data clusters and how do I isolate my customers, and then how do I create behaviors. After GPT, I scrapped all of that development. I can only point GPT to my data sets, create that learning. GPT has turned a lot of learnings of LLMs and NLP combining to give me a reality that is fast-paced, which I didn't even imagine. Now, 2 years from now, tell me one person here who can predict what will be the future. Is it quantum? Is it robotics? Is it a combination? You can't be prepared for the future. It's all about how do you really work on a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. There are articles and there are books on it. Read it. That's where I would end. Thank you.
I think you asked 3 challenges. Yeah,
Yes.
I'll not add anything. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we just have another 5 more minutes,
Yeah,
so we'll just
2
restrict the number of
So
questions.
maybe the people who didn't
Yes.
ask a question, they get the first. Otherwise, sir, you can go.
I have a question.
Yeah, please, sir.
Again.
Yeah.
So from quality assurance, we are shifting to quality engineering. In the quality assurance, our starting point is looking at the requirement document, your technical specifications, your design documents and implementation documents, and you continue. Now, earlier people used to say testing means you don't need to go through the technical knowledge most of the time. But now that separation has been completely taken out, and now a tester is now completely converted into SDET. Like the development as well as the testing. Now being into the QE side, we are talking about shift left. How about testing team doing the requirement analysis and requirement gathering and analysis? What is your thoughts on that?
Actually, we do it now. In fact, today, the custom development has been like, first of all, if you look at it, right, the packaged applications have taken over. And in packaged applications, the only thing that you're working is on customization. And when you work on customization only, right, the testers play a major role in actually looking at requirements and validating whether that customization is very well correct or not, or sometimes even just validating the business rules. Because when you validate the business rules, I think 50% of the problem is solved then and there. So absolutely right. You have to validate and you have to verify requirements to begin with. Testers play a major role in that.
And
Actually couldn't agree more. You had a great dimension, because for all the people over here, right, most of the people develop art of testing applications or mastering screen navigations. But if you actually elevate yourself to actually mastering the domain, right, I think once you master the domain, you don't have to fear about, your job security, because techno-functional is always going to remain irrespective of what happens. Absolutely.
Expert or Catalan nowadays, but how because whatever the tester is finding, I want
Bullseye. It's a bullseye.
see, we are not focusing on the fundamental things.
So, Manisha, I think you can.
I just wanted to add one part that even the requirement validation and whether the requirements are complete or contradictory, we are using GenAI for that. So we have platform models where actually the tester may not be doing it 100% by themselves.
Yeah, with regards to requirements, domain knowledge, if you take pharma, the industry where I'm from, it is known for a highly regulated environment, right? And FDA is very strict about how they give approvals. And now they've started giving approval for the studies to do digital biomarkers or digital devices, and they've come up with a new CSA concept where they are ready to permit really critical GXPs, GXP good manufacturing, clinical, so on practices, GXP systems to do risk-based testing and also do more exploratory testing by the domain specific. The reason I'm saying is, pharma is one example. Likewise, different industries are evolving as well. So I feel what you mentioned could become a reality. I've seen cases. One of the teams I ran long back, a tester did raise a defect against requirement. So I'm talking about 15 years back. So it's being followed in part, but it can become a large-scale reality if people have good domain understanding, like Raj said, and do good practice of testing practices.
All right, so I think this is getting pretty interesting, but we have time that we need to manage. So I'll just take one last question from Madam. Yes, Madam.
Yes. Hey, hi. Good evening to the panel and everyone. I'm Sridevi from Capgemini. So I have one question that, I hear a lot of myths saying that manual testing is no more valued, or, it's going to die. It's like, that's what I believe is it's a myth. No matter how many tools come, or, you talk about Gen AI, next AI, whatever is the tool that, manual testing is never something which can die is what I believe in. I really want to hear, what is the opinion on this topic, because I think no machine can think better than a human, and I really struggle to push across the tools with my customer today to pitch in for more business. I train my team, but at the end of the day, the customer comes back and says, I am not confident that all the pricing rules are tested with this machine. Scrap it. Get me another 10 testers. And I'm like, on the other hand, everyone in the other companies, or when I go to forums, say that, oh no, manual testing is no more there, right? So I really want to hear on this.
Great question. Thank you.
My one-line word answer is, as long as the user is a human, there will be manual testing.
I think that's a great answer.
Thank you. So, I would like to add on to that. Yes, manual testers are needed and they bring in lots of value. However, once again, if I look at it from the demand that I get from the customers, the 99% of the demands are for people who understand domain and technology, as he said, and he had endorsed it saying that's bullseye. So let's not live in that imaginary world saying, okay, I'm manual tester, I'm great at manual testing, and nobody can replace me. Please learn a technology, as Madhu mentioned, that it's absolutely essential to learn, have expertise in any one programming language. It will definitely help you to secure your career in long term. You need domain, but you need technology too.
All right, I think, yeah, just the last one.
Please.
Yes.
Final question after
please.
that. Anyway, some more things will be there after that. Please go on, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, panel. This is Murali Krishna working from Tech Mahindra. So everybody say that AI testing is in future will come. Like that, I am doing manual testing. So in future, what are the prerequisites? That means any programming language is mandatory to do the testing of AI testing. Like Selenium, everybody is saying Java is mandatory like that. So that's my question is that any programming language is mandatory to do the AI testing.
AI testing is any programming language mandatory. So I think AI testing also, like one of our ladies from Capgemini told, has to be tested by intelligent human beings. Actually, most of the AI systems, generative AI systems using large language models, when you you chat with them, actually, like a lot of people actually earlier used a word called hallucinate. Like in interviews, when I interview with people, actually I ask questions. A lot of times I ask questions for which answers I don't know. Very genuinely I ask questions.
Yes, yes.
Then I will listen to them very carefully so that during that time I can learn something. And I'll act also sometimes. I know very well the answer, but I act as if I don't know and I ask. And 70% of people do bluffing. They will talk all nonsense, which I know that is nonsense, but I make it that is nonsense because of the body language. There is a lack of confidence. If I deeply look into their eyes, they are moving their eyes away. I make it. AI systems, chat GPT kind of systems also bluff. So they hallucinate, they actually lead you to a lot of wrong ideas, and they will be they will rationalize, they will give reason that whatever I am telling is right, which is actually totally wrong. And they have biases. Like if they have kind of been trained with a lot of information, which is biased totally, they will give a lot of biased answers. If the tendency of us to believe that whatever they gave it is right because it is AI, then we will be totally wrong. That's why AI testing, for whatever you asked, very intelligent human brain will have to test it. There will be no escape from it. I think that is my answer.
You ask for a language. The language I would say is excellent English.
Yeah.